What's going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown, episode 67. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
Fire!
Brett Murdock.
I am not your host, and I am Brett Murdock.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Ryan Munjoma.
Dragon's Dogma got released today. I'm happy.
Look at that, Brian's face is back.
My face is back.
Yes, and joining us, special guests, John Phipps, a.k.a. Mr. Megative.
I am also not your host. I just want to point out as well.
Just to clarify.
Just
to clarify.
Yeah, you get the ceremonial clap there. John, man, thank you for joining us tonight, man. I know you've been looking forward to this.
Actually, I want to thank you for having me. I've been a long-time listener of the Throwdown, so I've actually, in a weird way, I've actually been listening to you guys. I don't want to say stalking, but we'll say listening to you guys on YouTube for some time now, and I've always been an admirer, which is one of the reasons why I was inspired to start my own podcast, which is we just finished our 17th episode about an hour ago.
Very nice.
People think about that. An hour ago, my man finished his podcast, and then is our podcast on the same night. That is dedication. But we're going to get into your origin. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Brett.
We've been doing this long enough for other people to listen and be like, I could do that. And then and now they're doing that, man. It's babies having babies, man.
Pretty much, man. So in a weird way, all you guys are like my father. You're all like my same-sex fathers, you know. Which in a weird way, you know.
2016, man. We're in progressive times. It's okay. We're gonna get into you. We're gonna do a little ministry interview with a second, but we got some things to say here. As I was telling these guys, I'm looking forward to the end of the show because Throwdown got called out. Like, ooh, okay.
Oh yeah, people were talking shit about us.
Yeah. So we'll get into that because, man, like you challenge Throwdown, you're going fucking down, man. It's simple as that. All right, John.
We'll what is it called? Throw up.
We'll throw up.
We'll throw up at this challenge. That can't be right.
We'll figure it out by the end of the show. All right. So, John, man, let's get to know you a little bit. How did you get started as a gamer, man? Gaming origin story. Go.
So, I won't get too deep here, but I grew up in a home where I was the victim of violent physical abuse. And gaming, for me, was kind of an escape. It started at a young age. My first system was the NES, the Nintendo, which a lot of us started on, and that was cool. I wasn't all that serious about it until I got my Super Nintendo, and then right around my life, that's kind of when the stuff at home got really bad, and I discovered games like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI, games that represented these worlds that I could escape into, and not have to worry about all the bullshit happening out there in the real world. And I found these characters that I identified with, and I understood their struggles, I understood their stories, and I find myself actually caring about what happened to them. I cared about what happened to Locke and Terra and Celeste, and I cared about what happened to Chrono and Marl and Frog and Robo, and I just kind of grew from there. I got really into RPGs, which is that's my favorite genre, along with horror games. I'm a huge horror guy. So in a way, like, video games for me really kind of shaped who I am now. It seems odd and silly to say, but it's true. And so now I'm here. I primarily do most of my gaming on PlayStation systems. I'm not biased against one console or another. I own an Xbox One. I wish I owned a Wii U.
No, you don't.
Well, okay. Well, you know what? Let me rephrase that. I wish Nintendo would start putting out great content again. I mean, they've still got a great. I mean, you've got games like Mario Maker. I mean, they still have a very recognizable first-party stable, but it's not the Nintendo of old. And I would love to see a resurgent Nintendo this year, but that's a whole other conversation. But
we've had many times on this show, by the way.
I've heard it. I've heard the conversations. Like I said, I've been a long time listener. So yeah, that's kind of how I got my start. And it just stuck. And I had always wanted to get into games journalism, but it turns out I'm a shit writer, so that didn't work. And maybe back in August, I was talking to a buddy of mine, fellow gamer, and I said, hey, you know what, man, let's start a gaming podcast. It was as simple as that. I was like, let's just start a fucking gaming podcast and see what happens. And
that sounds very familiar, doesn't it, Tony?
Yeah, it really does.
I was like, screw it, man, we're gonna do it. And so we started what we call the Super Deformed Gamescast, and the name Super Deformed kind of harkens back to the old, 16-bit Super Deformed RPG characters that I grew up with and influenced me so greatly. We've, like I said, we just got done with episode 17. We got 6 members on our podcast. We got me, then Brandon, JT, Gabe, Jeff, and Steve. And we do our thing every Thursday at 8 o'clock at Eastern Standard Time. We just bullshit for an hour and a half about games. There's no fanboy bullshit. There's no bias. There's no console warriors allowed on our podcast. We just talk about video games, man, because at the end of the day, you should play games and not consoles.
Yeah, that's man. That's how it is. I've been on your show, by the way. You invited me on.
You have.
Yeah, you guys are fucking cool dudes, You
have. No, we Tony. Tony was actually our first big guest. I could actually say has his own deal going on, his own show going on. So Tony was kind of the first. And we've continued to grow. In the past month, our users have quadrupled in number, or not users, I guess, subs or subscribers.
Yeah, subscribers.
Have quadrupled. We're kind of getting more out there now. We're actually we're doing more Let's Plays now. I'm actually doing a kind of a couple times a week. I call it the Lamppost, and I just sit down for 4 or 5 minutes and I talk about whatever kind of gaming issues are on my mind at the time. And we're actually going to start doing giveaways too. So we've got a few codes we're going to give away next week, and codes for games, early access beta stuff, and I'm going to start actually giving away some physical copies as well on our show. So everybody who wants to follow us, you can check out our YouTube page. It's youtube.com/superdeformedgamescast. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Megative. And of course, the rest of our podcasters have Twitter handles as well. I won't go over them because I can't spell for shit.
Don't worry about it. We're gonna link all that down there in the description.
But please come and give us a shout, and I'll finish up by thanking you again, Tony, for having me on the show, man. And one, getting the opportunity to hang with you guys, and two, kind of helping me. I don't know. I guess kind of spread the gospel about us, because there's a lot of. And this is why I think you guys are such an important podcast, because there are a lot of negative voices out there in the gaming community. And I won't name any names. We probably all know the kind of people I'm referring to. I mean, PGST. But excuse me. But there's a lot of negativity out there, and there are people on both sides of the fence, both PlayStation and Xbox One, who are very, very poor representatives of their respective communities. And I think it's important to get guys like you and us and others like Mike Mullins out there to kind of counter this and say, you guys, people like that don't speak for the gaming community. We do, and because we're all brothers in gaming at the end of the day. And I'll get off my soapbox now. But
no, we have a soapbox. Brett, I think he stole your soapbox for a little bit, though, but it's all right.
He can borrow it. He's making good use of it.
Exactly. See, this is what I find kind of cool. So we inspired you, but then on the other hand, you inspire me because I love seeing dudes, like you are the way I was when I first started, that fucking hunger and passion, and you're just doing it just because you fucking love gaming. That's what it really should be about. It shouldn't be about fucking agendas or any of this bullshit, It should come from the love of gaming first, and then everything else springs from that, So I'm hoping you have a very successful career, and I will help you out any way I can because you're, like you said, you're a positive voice, and we need more of that out there, and a real voice too, man. Then that's fucking, like neutered bullshit, Yep. There's too much of that out there too, people kind of cutting off their own opinion. Come on, man, just speak your fucking mind, be honest.
That's
I like that.
And that's one thing that's very similar about our two programs is that we don't pull any punches, we don't hold back at all, and you guys don't either. So, and I think that's what the gaming community needs.
And the other thing I liked about you guys, man, like it was a podcast that was started by fucking like Marines, basically. That's fucking cool.
Most of us are former military. The only two who aren't are actually Brandon is former Marine Corps. I'm former Marine Corps. Steve is former Army. Brian is former Army, and the rest are not. So, but there's nothing wrong with that, there's nothing wrong with that.
When I was on, it was just the military guys. I'm like, oh, this is fucking cool, man.
It was all military. No, I played Final Fantasy 13 in Afghanistan for the first time. It was the first time I played that game.
Oh,
so,
man.
In between missions, man, coming back from running around Jalalabad with my my M9 and my flak vest and my Kevlar, just come back off the bird after about a week of being out in the field, sit down and I was so excited about Final Fantasy 13. I came back after a week of being out doing whatever, and that Amazon box was sitting in my hut, and I was like, and it was so awesome to come back to. I was like, I know what it is. It's shaped like a game. Holy shit! And played that for 2 weeks. Go back out in the field for a week, come back, and that was kind of So I played a lot of games forward, man. A lot of games.
That's awesome. Manny, I know you wanted to ask him something specifically about the kind of games he plays.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Like, no, this will do that. But it's like, being a person in the military. You ever look at any of those military shooters and be like, what is this? That doesn't work that way.
Actually, so my wife and I, shout out to my wife. She actually did a Let's Play with us earlier today. She's so cool. She says, honey, you don't play a lot of Call of Duty for somebody who's been in the military. And I was like, not to make myself sound like too much of a badass, which I am, but I was like, once you've kind of been there and done that, like I was part of the first major Fallujah offensive. That's where I was wounded in 2004. And I was like, once you've had once you've had the rounds impact in front of you right in the sand, you see those impacted the sand flying up, and I was like, there was a period of time in my life for the 3 weeks when we were in Zaydan, which is 10 clicks south of Fallujah, and we used to call it FOB incoming, because with FOB being forward operating base, because the mortars would come in about 10 or 12 rounds a day, and there was no cover, so all you could do is just crawl into a ball and just be like, man, I hope I don't die today.
Shit.
And so for those 3 weeks, that was like the worst 3 weeks of my life. And I was like, once you've been there, like nothing else quite emulates that experience. You know what I'm saying? So like I'll play games like Destiny and stuff, like something like a space age, futuristic deal, but like I don't know, first person military games like Battlefield or Call of Duty, they just don't do it for me. Not because they're not good games, but just because. And it's not even that they send me to a bad place. It's just that I've been there. I don't care to relive it. I don't know. Does that make any sense? Or
that makes perfect sense. I mean, I could see not wanting to, even if it doesn't, give you. You say it doesn't really give you any sort of flashbacks or anything. But it's just not a place that you want to be. You want to be in a kind of a more, ideal, maybe fantasy type of place rather than kind of semi-realistic. Shooter world.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, exactly. It's like you said. It's like, okay, you're out in the field. You're literally taking fucking shots all day. Why are you going to come back to your tent to play a military shooter? Final Fantasy 13 makes perfect sense. That's like the antithesis of what you were doing. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way it is. And there's a lot of military personnel who play games like that, and that's cool. I don't understand how they can do it. I mean, maybe. I don't know, maybe some guy who works in the mailroom, I can see, and there's nothing wrong with working in the mailroom, but once you've been forward and you've seen that kind of action, it's just, I don't know, for me, it's just kind of like, whatever. Having said that, one of the other guys on our podcast was an infantry marine, and he loves Call of Duty, so, take that as you will, but for me, it's just, nah.
Yeah. All right, makes sense. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you that because I've always wondered, like, hey, do military guys? The thing is, the military guys I know that like first-person shooting games aren't guys that are like seeing action. You know what I mean? Not taking anything away from those guys, but they're generally not in the field. You know what I mean?
Well, what's funny is that I used to be a much bigger guy than I am now. When I was in the Marine Corps, I hurt my back. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was into powerlifting, and so I was this big, beefy, 6'3" dude, about 210 pounds, and with this Midwestern accent, and people would come up to me, like I just walk into my barracks room, just Sergeant Phipps sitting there, and playing my games, and there was one day this small Marine, who was a Lance Corporal, God, what was his name? Lance Corporal Burgess, I think was his name. But we were talking about video games, and he was like, I really like Final Fantasy, and somebody's like, yeah, Final Fantasy JRPGs that's pussy bullshit. Only pussies like RPGs. And it was some Lance Corporal saying it. And of course, I'm Sergeant Phipps. I was like, "Yo, they're Lance Corporal fucking Schmuckatelli. I love Final Fantasy. You got a problem with Final Fantasy?" He's like, "No, Sergeant, I ain't got no problem with Final Fantasy now. I got no problem with Final." I was like, "You see this right here, there, Lance Corporal? All right, I will wrap this thing twice around your head and strangle you with it. You talk about Final Fantasy one more time." So nobody fucking talks about JRPGs in my presence. I'm just not going to allow it.
There you go. It's why I like you, man. And the fact you like Final Fantasy 13. Not a lot of people like that game. I love that game.
I'm on the Final Fantasy 13 Defense Force, man. Yeah. Like, I don't even give a shit. I love that fucking game. I don't care what anybody says.
I'm going to introduce you to Gary Swaby. He's one of the founders of the site. He loves Final Fantasy 13 as well.
Hell yeah.
All right, so let's get into it. Main topic. So nothing super major happened this week. So I figured, hey, this would be a good time to bring up something that happened between Brett and I this week. So, Brett, hope you remember this conversation. So we were talking about, actually, you started the conversation talking about life is feudal, right? Yep. And you were telling me all the things you could do in it. You could, like, actually,
wasn't it after the show too? We were talking about it too. One of the shows, like maybe questions. We were talking about it.
Yeah, but Brett and I got into like a deeper thing. So, Brett, explain to the people some of the things you do in this game just normally.
Oh man, pretty much every step of the process. Like you may be used to in like say Warcraft, for instance, mining being a profession where you go you hit a mining node until you get some items, and then you go over and you craft and you got a fancy new sword. Like Life is Feudal kind of makes you do every step of the process and kind of harkens back to games like Ultima Online, where you have to dig the dirt to get the mine, to chisel the stone down, and then secure the walls by cutting down trees and fashioning boards, and then reinforcing the mine as you go down until you hit iron. And then you take the iron out, you smelt it into forge, and cut down some more trees, carry them back, saw them down into billets, shape those down into handles, and then forge your metal ingots, and then forge that into like an axe, and then use that axe to cut down better trees to get better quality wood to do the process over again. So if you want like a perfectly forged sword, you have to grow grow trees from perfect trimmings from perfect trees, and grow them in perfect soil, and cut them down with a perfect axe, and smelt that with perfect steel, and have that all done by a perfect blacksmither. So the whole thing, it goes down a rabbit hole that is far too deep for a lot of people, but I myself find incredibly fun and incredibly satisfying.
Yeah, so Brett is telling me all this, right? And I was just like, Brett, that sounds absolutely horrible. And he was like, I know, dude. And the conversation kept going, and it was basically to the effect of like, man, I hope they don't release as many like open world games in fucking 2016, because not only do you have to play these long ass games, but I gotta grind out to get these fucking trophies. And Brennan's like, why are you getting these trophies? That makes no sense. Why would you do all this shit for trophies? I'm like, because I enjoy it. I enjoyed the fact, the act of getting trophies. And then along the way, Brett was like, hey, Tony, hold on. I just described the kind of grinding you don't like, and you described the kind of grinding I don't like. Something's going on here. So we're like, we should kind of talk about this as, on the show, because it's a pretty interesting subject. Like, what kind of grinding do you like in games? Because obviously there's always grinding in kind of games, so menial tasks that you would find, enjoyable, but others would be like, ugh, I don't want to do this shit. So yeah, that's our main topic there. It's kind of an interesting one. Manny and I had a bit of a hard time finding a featured image for this one. Like, I don't know, but I think it'll spark some good discussion. So, John, since you're the guest here, man, what kind of grinding do you like doing in games? Like just menial bullshit.
Well, you know what? I mean, I think that's a great topic. And grinding is really relative, and it really depends on what game you're playing and mechanics of that game. Like for example, I think a really good example where you have tedious grinding is Mad Max, which is if you haven't played Mad Max, big open world game, it's one big collectathon. Very, very samey gameplay, and you do the same tasks over and over and over and over and over. And then you go to the next town hub, you do the same tasks over and over and over and over and over. Where as opposed to a game like Destiny, or like take it a step further and go World of Warcraft, where grinding is necessary to play the game. The people who play those games enjoy grinding because that's what the game requires. I mean, it's a grindathon. It's the same thing for like a Final Fantasy game. Eventually, you're going to hit a difficulty wall with some super boss, and you're going to have to grind. I don't mind it. For me, it's very dependent on what type of game I'm playing and whether or not. It depends on two things. One, is the end state worth it? Is the juice worth the squeeze, so to say? And two, is the act of grinding itself, is it compelling? Is it enjoyable? Is it fun? And there are games that the answer is yes, absolutely it is. I mean, grinding doesn't always have to be a chore. There are ways to make these things intuitive and interesting and enjoying. And I think games like Final Fantasy succeeds at that more often than not.
It's also a matter of like, what are you grinding towards and what do you have to show for it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, am I going to get some boss fucking super weapon at the end of my grindathon? Then, or am I going to get like a cutscene and 3 minutes of extra story? In that case, maybe it's not worth it. But I think I think it's relative. I think it depends on the game you're playing. So I don't think a question like that really has a clear-cut answer. You know what I'm saying?
It really doesn't. But you're right about that. It's always about like the end thing you're working for. Like I like getting trophies because I like working towards that platinum trophy, right? That's what I like. And now Xbox, they have their equivalent achievements, right? I don't really go out of my way for those. I'm like, am I really gonna play the whole game on hard just for 10 points? I don't care about that. Like. But if those 10 points were to give me something else, then maybe, And you're right with RPGs. It's like, okay, even JRPGs. I don't like level grinding at all, but I do it every single time because I'm like, okay, do I spend like 50 hours trying to beat this one boss, like hitting my head against a wall, or do I grind for a couple of hours so I could just beat the boss in one hit? So I'm like, I'm gonna just kill these little rabbits for like 3 hours and kill the boss like nothing. That's acceptable.
There's a whole different kind of grinding too. Like I say I kind of had a different kind of grinding when I played Fallout. Like I ground out settlements forever, and now it's been enough time that I think the settlement bug has bitten even the most staunch people who were opposing it. Like I've heard a lot of people be like, no, I'm not gonna fuck with settlements, and they're like, dude, I have like a 4-story castle with a power armor gallery. Like,
see, I'm exactly the opposite. I finished Fallout 4. I did the crafting and the community building for like an hour. I was like, no, I'm done. It's not for me. Because for me it just wasn't compelling, but then again, I mean, it's a nice feature to have in a game like Fallout, but for me that's not why I play Fallout. For me playing Fallout, I don't want to be in charge of the community. I'm role playing. When I play those games, I'm playing a role, and I want to feel like I'm a loner in the wasteland, not connected to any one community. I think it's kind of the whole point of the Fallout games, and like I said, it's a nice thing to have, but for me, I just didn't think that it fit well into the game's infrastructure.
I kind of fall more towards your side, but a little bit more because I was like against that shit at all. I'm like, I don't want to build settlements. I don't do any of this. But then I would get into a settlement. I got attacked. I'm like, why are you guys at 0% defense? Hold on, I'll get you set up real quick. So I built some turrets and some minimal shit. So every time I would go to it gets attacked, I'm like, okay, let me set you guys up so I don't have to deal with this shit again. So I did that to a minimum, but even my main, like the most I built was like a 2-story thing for my power armors. That's it. But I'm like, okay, I don't know how to build a 3rd story. So I'm just gonna. So now it's like 2 stories worth of power armors, then a bunch of power armors surrounding it because I don't know how to build anymore. Then my main house is like 2 pieces of metal stuck together because I can't be bothered with like just figuring this stuff out, like this minutia. But then again, I'm the guy who level grinds in an RPG. So.
But now here's the $1 million question. What constitutes grinding? Because what we're talking about at its heart is doing a task over and over again for an end goal that you achieve. And that's essentially the mechanic of a video game. You could say all video games from beginning to end are a combination of narrative and grinding.
Yeah, but I mean, but like take like a 3rd-person cover shooter like Uncharted. I wouldn't consider anything you do Uncharted as
there's
grinding.
no real grinding in that, no.
I mean, when I hear the word grinding, like the word grinding itself is, I mean, think about it. It's a very unpleasant sounding word. Like the word, when you think of the word grinding, you're thinking of something being beaten down. Like you're doing something. You're really drilling down into something. And so what you're doing in games like Uncharted or Gears of War, it's not really grinding because all you're doing is headed towards the end of the game. And you have no choice but to head towards the end of the game. Like that game is those games are taking you on one path.
Correct, but you're doing the same activity that grinding entails.
Sure, but you're not getting any extra. I define grinding as something that you have to do over and over and over and over and over to pass one single obstacle or to achieve one thing. When you're playing a 3rd-person shooter or any game that puts you on a linear path, no matter what you do, there's one way to go. You can't go forward, or you can't go back. You can't go left. You can't go right.
But to be fair, though, in Gears of War, I know what Brett's getting at. Basically, in Gears of War, you're going through down a linear path. But what are you always doing? You're stopping, popping, popping and shooting. Pop and shoot. That's a kind of, because here's the thing. I want to just to clarify. I'm using level grinding for the title of this, but it's really grinding / menial tasks. And yeah, you could get to even Just Cause 3, Brett. This is a perfect example. that game gets to a point where it's like, okay, this is kind of just the same shit now. You're not really grinding, but it just gets to a point where it's like, it's just repeating the same thing over and over and over again. But some people love that.
I don't even mean it like that. Like, okay, so you have a game like Uncharted, right? So all I would need to do to make Uncharted into a grindy game would be that you have an area that you can't pass until you hit a certain difficulty curve. And you can't meet that difficulty curve until you reach a certain level. And I need to put a gap between where you currently are and this thing you need to get around, therefore causing you to do the same task over and over and over again. Now, you're still running through enemies. You're still killing bad guys. The activities that you're doing haven't actually changed. It's the context in which you're doing the activities that actually changes.
Yeah.
So that begs the question of what is the context of the activity? Like I think Bloodborne would be, or the Souls games would be kind of a middle ground, because yeah, you're playing the same area over and over again. You're fighting the same guys over and over again. You're leveling up, but there's also a sort of very subtle progression. Like each time you go through, you learn more about the environments. You learn more about the characters. It's not just your character that progresses, but it's you that progresses as well, which makes it so that is actually part of the game. Like you have to play through this level 5 times, and it's not necessarily, it's a middle ground. Like I don't know whether in Bloodborne I'm actually grinding or I'm playing the game the way that it's supposed to be played.
I wouldn't say necessarily grinding, just because I'm a huge Souls aficionado. Those are my favorite games. And
you guys went Brett over, by the way. Brett and Chris, now they're your best friends.
Got my old Bloodborne Platinum.
Nice.
I'm legit. So in the Souls games and in Bloodborne, it's generally accepted among the online community, and Brett, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, that you stop at around soul level 120, right? That way you're viable for PvP. Because that's just it's accepted. That's where you stop, is 120. So after that, you have nothing to do with those souls, except to just buy materials, and you're not grinding for materials in Bloodborne. You buy them, or they're in chests, or one-time chests. You're grinding in those games to gain a better understanding of the world and the lore. And there are times, I mean, just like you said, I played through Dark Souls 7 times. I got a new game plus 7. And I had finally got a grasp on what the story of the game was, and so that you could consider that a form of grinding, and that's the kind of grinding that I like, is gaining a deeper understanding of something, which is another reason I love the Souls games, because those games don't hold your hand in regards to anything, including story. You have to figure out what's going on for your own. I wish there were more games like that, but that's the kind of grinding that I like. Grinding not for a big ass cool sword. I mean that's fun. But if I gain a greater understanding of something, that's more rewarding to me.
So okay, just for the terms of argument, like we all define grinding then as just a repetitive task that you need to do over and over again in order to get over some kind of hurdle.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, because that would make sense. Like when I'm playing a game like Ark or any survival game or something like that, or Life is Futile right now, it doesn't feel like a grind. Like, yeah, I'm literally hewing stone and dragging it across a field in a cart, but I'm also getting to see this cool warehouse that I'm building go up, and I'm getting to watch the blacksmith stocking this with swords. And I know that the guys to the south of us are there's war going on, and we send a scout off on the road. So the entire time I'm doing this, I'm not only involved in this rich world, but I'm seeing definite progress happen. And when the progress happens, my town is going to look like nobody else's town. So there's a certain amount of pride that comes with it. So it doesn't feel like grinding, even though I'm technically, hitting all the marks of it grinding.
I think I kind of see both sides with this, where it's like Brett. It seems like Brett is very interested in creating in not so much the process of the grinding, because it seems very natural, but the actual outcome of what the grinding will mean. So it's like if I keep on cutting down trees and getting wood and getting more metal and all this stuff, I can make these really awesome things for myself.
Exactly, but it's also the grind that gives it meaning.
Exactly. So it's like for you guys, it's like, okay, so it's more of the aspect of moving forward in the story as like, okay, now we got to beat this boss. Okay, I can't continue the story, so I have to sit here and grind a little bit so I can continue to go forward in this narrative.
But you know what you guys are talking about right now kind of illustrates the difference, in my opinion, between good grinding and bad grinding. Like everything we're talking about right now, this is good grinding. The bad grinding comes into play when you're playing like an MMO and you're supposed to be the hero. Like you are the hero, right? You're the anointed one or whatever. And it's like, all right, we want you to join the Fighters Guild, but first you got to kill 10 sheep.
Yes, I mean, what?
Kill 10 sheep and bring me their wool. And it's like, well, wait, why am I doing? Why? Why do you want?
Because you want to join the Fighters Guild, don't you?
Why do you want the sheep's wool? And it's like, and the guy, no, seriously, the guildmaster's always like, bro, don't ask any fucking questions. Just go give me the sheep's wool. You know, that's why I couldn't get into games like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14. As much as I tried Final Fantasy 14.
Or worse, we need 10 sheep's wool. Go kill sheep. You kill 30 sheep. Have 8 sheep's wool. You're like, how the fuck does a sheep not have wool?
And that's the other thing. It's like, okay, I killed this sheep and it's covered with wool and I got one tuft. Like, why didn't I just take the whole fucking sheep? It just doesn't make any sense.
Like, how did that sheep have money? Like, where?
You know, we've got a bee.
The sheep only has 2 feet.
We've got a bee problem. Go kill swarms of killer wasps out in the field. Kill 15 swarms of killer wasps. No, get some pesticide. I don't want to do that, dude. I'm a fighter. I'm a warrior. What am I supposed to do with bees and a sword? That doesn't make any sense. So that's why I couldn't get into Final Fantasy 14, you know, because I went to go join the Fighters Guild. I was a fighter. I had a big-ass 2-handed sword, and the guy's like, go kill 5 cats and come home and tell me about it. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
I mean, that's also the biggest issue with those sorts of MMOs because they don't base the quests on your rank of what you are. No matter what you are in that game, if you're a fighter, if you're a mage, or anything, every single person in those things has to do the same things to go forward.
Yeah. Regardless of whether or not you're a wizard or a thief or a warrior, it's like go kill 6 goblins.
Yeah. How awesome but I mean, I'm sure it would take even longer to create. But how awesome would it be if you had a game like that, and you're playing the wizard? Ah, yes, you must join the Wizards Guilds. Then you have to do all kinds of different things in order to do wizardy things to get part of the thing, as opposed to just shooting cats for an hour.
Well, the best part is like okay, I just killed my goblin. Why can't I take his ear? Why does only every 4th goblin drop an ear? Like, why can't I take 2 ears from the goblin? Why does it only have to be 1? This is why I can't take games like that seriously. I just can't do it.
I think we're all agreed that the bad grinding consists of artificially extending a game's playtime with
it's padding.
gimmicks. Yeah, it's padding.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I mean, one series that's guilty of that is Pokemon. Pokemon is really guilty of padding. I'm sorry. I mean, I know people like the Pokemon games, but seriously, like, you have to grind your ass off just to be able to beat like the next gym guy, right? Then you go to the next town. Can't get anywhere until you grind some more. Go walk in the tall grass for like 5 hours until you could beat the next gym leader.
Hey, it's true though, man. Yeah, and a lot of games are like that. It's like, and that's why I can't play a lot of like JRPGs like that. It's like, dude, you're just throwing all this bullshit at me just to pad the fucking game out instead of making something compelling. You just throwing all this.
Hold on now.
Well,
Are you telling me that you have never driven into town and seen homeless people sitting at the on and off ramps for the highway?
Wait, what?
Oh, I don't understand.
Yeah,
I don't understand the context.
Okay, you see homeless people sitting on the highway ramps, like outside of town, right? Well, they're fucking level grinding. They can't go into town yet.
Okay, so that's what's going on. The guy holding the end of the world sign, he's just level grinding.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
his
funny.
sign skills are rocketing.
I actually, when I went to go join the Marine Corps, I walked in the recruiter's office, and he was like, I was like, I want to be a Marine. He was like, son, we want you, but first you got to go kill 8 dogs and bring me their tails. And I was like, why do I got to do that? He's like, wait, that's what you got to do if you want to join the Marine Corps, son. If you want to join the Marine Corps Guild, you got to go kill those dogs and bring me their tails. I mean, so, like, I think about the scenarios, and I apply them to real life, and I'm like, I can't do this. I'm sorry. I can't do this.
Yeah, you have to kill like 30 dogs because only 8 of them have tails.
Only 8 of them are going to drop tails for me, So I'm out here all day killing dogs, and finally I got to join the Marine Corps.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of leading into the silliness of video game mechanics. Really think about it. Brian, what are your thoughts on all this? So I know you're the man who's played. How many fucking hours of Warframe have you put in? Like 1,000 already?
1,291.
Good lord!
So you know about the grind and the struggle, man. So what do you think about all this?
Okay. By the sounds of it, it seems to be like to split into like person by person. Like there's no one case that fits all. It's like with Warframe, I I put in that much time into it because I enjoyed the not destination. I enjoyed the journey to get there. You know, like getting like level 30 is like it's all good, but after that, then I just don't like play that weapon or that warframe or that anything because at that point I'm done with that. But I enjoy getting the characters up to that point, and it seems like that is what I enjoy most in games. And games that impede that to me kind of are annoying in that sense. It's like I can do stuff like, oh, okay, you can get like to this level before you can get this content. Okay, I can do that. But yet when it's like, oh, you need to get X amount of these, that's not that great. The best example is Dragon's Dogma. I do believe that the 3rd or 4th version is to collect, I think, 8 rabbit hides, and I was just like, why do I need to do this? Like, there's literally no point of doing this at all. Like, it won't unlock crafting, it won't unlock upgrades, it won't unlock anything. It's just there to pretty much say, do something, and then come back. So it seems like people like and dislike different things. Like with Brett, when he was describing the life of feudal stuff, I was like, okay, I can see why you enjoy it, but to be honest, I would never want to play a game like that. It sounds, and Brett's going to hate me for this, but I don't care. It sounds quite boring to me. Like, I can't see yourself saying, okay, I need to get words, I can get this, and get that to get that. Like, you guys were talking about the Fallout 4 settlement, and Tony was saying that you've done, like, the bare minimum. Like, no, Tony, I've done the bare minimum. My power armor's on top of the roof with some stairs on it. Simply because there's somewhere that I can see them, and that's it. That's all I have in my settlements.
No, I went to Sanctuary, you know, the guy was like, you know, hey, you know, let's I did it to finish the quest to get a trophy. I was like, all right, here's your frickin' water pumps. I dropped some beds in the middle of the street. I was like, here you go. You know, take a nap. Take a dirt nap, motherfucker. And I was like, there you go. We're done. I don't care how happy you are after this. And yeah, so yeah, like I said, but that to me is just an example of bad grinding.
Yeah, but then again, you know, some people like that. I know Brett and then our fan Corey. These guys built these crazy elaborate structures and stuff. They put hours and hours into it, and they enjoy that. So it's just interesting how some things are good for some, and then for others, like, nah, I don't want to do that.
You know, the thing is, part of the reason why I won't get involved with Fallout is because I will find myself doing stuff like that, and that's why I don't play it. Because I don't have a lot of time. I have to work.
Yeah. I mean, that's partly the reason I refuse to play MMOs. Is like, because I know myself, I will grind forever on some bullshit. You know, I'm like, I could be playing some other. Like when I played DC Online, that took a lot of my life. I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, I have other games to play. You know, like no, it's like there comes a point where you gotta cut that off. But then again, there's people still playing DC Online, and there's nothing wrong with that. Even with Destiny got to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm just grinding for bullshit now. This is like, I love Destiny, obviously, but it got to a point like I can't do this anymore. But there are still motherfuckers on my shit playing Destiny. So you know, it's not a one size fits all, like you said. You know, this is why it's an interesting topic, because it's not like there's no definitive thing to say about it. It's different for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my last memory of Final Fantasy XIV, the moment I decided because I was never an MMO guy, you know, and I was like, I'm going to try this out. I remember the moment I was like, you know, it's not for me, was when I walked outside with I had my full battle rattle on, my sword, my armor, and I was like, I'm just going to let a sheep kill me, because I just want to see what this is like. So I just ran out and I attacked this big fluffy sheep. He was so cute, I wanted to take him home, and he gently pushed his head to me like 50 times because he was taking off 2 health. But finally I died, and my guy makes a big show up, and he's like, oh, you know, and I was like, I can't take this seriously. I'm sorry. I was like, I'm done. A sheep was gently rubbing himself against me like a cat, and then I died. And that's it. It's over for me. The magic is gone.
Oh man, video games.
But I don't know. Maybe that's part of all the charm, man. You know, like it's who knows.
It's funny, you won't take that from Final Fantasy XIV, but when those tiny pigs in Majula kill you in Dark Souls 2, everything in that game is trying to kill you, even like micro pigs.
Those pigs
murder
are
you.
fucked up. I went up to those pigs in Majula, dude. I saw them chill on the other side of the house, and I was like, oh, look at this, I'm going to kill you. And dude, they rushed me, and I was like, whoa, what was that? What the hell happened?
Dude, those pigs are made of iron. I don't understand.
Dude,
what is up.
Dude, and that's the thing about dude. Everything in Dark Souls has a desperate and immediate need to kill you, even piglets. And I was like, but this is why I love those games, because I actually recorded a screen capture of that. I was like, I just got killed by 3 piglets. I want to commemorate this moment.
Yeah, I had that similar with Bloodborne. Okay, I want to go back to Bloodborne real quick because that game has different kind of level grinding. Because I would always play the same levels over and over again to gain more experience, right? But even so, I've killed these like birds that can't fly a million times.
Oh, the crows,
dude. I've killed them a million times, but if I am not careful even once, they will fuck my shit up. So that's a different kind of level grinding. It's like, it's like, okay, it's not like Final Fantasy where I could grind on some shit and I'm just on autopilot. With those birds, you gotta be on fucking, like you gotta be on it, because they will jack your shit up all day, man.
Dude, everything about that game, there's, the second you try and relax, it will destroy you. Okay, I started a new game. Fist fought the werewolf in the beginning to death 3 times in a row because I couldn't decide what color I wanted to make my character's hair because I play Fashion Souls. But yeah, so I fist fought the werewolf down 3 times in a row, and then when I caught the werewolves on the bridge, I still shit myself, and I was fully armed. I had a full set of armor at that point. I hadn't gotten a chance to level up. I was like, dude, I just punched a werewolf down, and now I'm running like a bitch from 2. I don't know what it is about it, but the second you're like, nope, this turned against me. Run like a bitch, flee.
There is no other game. I mean, Bloodborne was my game of the year in 2015 by a long shot, and there is no other game in recent memory that has that much atmosphere. Just that game was just, you could have cut the tension in that game with a butter knife. And I mean, Miyazaki is just an absolute genius. I am praying one day that he'll somehow find a way.
A new friend tonight, man.
I am, Kimmy. Can you guys imagine take Bloodborne and apply that aesthetic to a new Castlevania game?
Dude, we would say that forever.
That's the okay. I like Bloodborne more than I thought because I was just like, because I never really liked the Souls games and stuff. I played Bloodborne, like, this is cool. And then when I got to Kanehurst Castle, right, I'm like, holy shit, this is the Castlevania game I've always wanted.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is
especially if you equip the threaded cane. But
that's the Simon Belmont fantasy play.
Yeah.
I love the fact that their weapons are designed. They're like, you want to be Simon Belmont? Fine. Yeah, you want to be Cloud? Okay. I forget the guy's name from Bleach, but the guy with the red ponytail.
Ichigo, yeah.
Oh no, the red ponytail. What's his fucking name?
Yeah, see.
I know what you're talking about. Wait, the guy with the receding hairline?
The guy with the big skull snake for.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Anyway, his sword, the disconnecting sword that breaks out to a segmented sword whip kind of thing. They have pretty much an exact replica of it in game. It's called the Beast Cutter.
Yeah, the Beast Cutter.
It's
Renji.
They do such good homages. They're like, oh, you want to play this kind of character? Boom, have fun.
Yeah, no, and having said that, I do hope that Dark Souls 3 is the last, because I'd like to see, and I'm speaking as a huge Souls fan, but I'd like to see what else Miyazaki can do. So bring back Armored Core.
Okay, I want to see.
I'm saying bring back Tenchu.
Tenchu was.
Tenchu
I want to see Miyazaki do a Souls-like game that doesn't necessarily give me a heart attack. I love the Souls games, but after a while, I'm like the bleakness and the terror. Can we have just straight aggression for the next game, maybe? Because
I would love to. I think Miyazaki would. I would love to see a straight up horror game in the vein of Dead Space done by Miyazaki.
My God, that would be amazing.
Oh man, that would be crazy.
Take his flair for.
Dude, just to be honest, those Souls games are kind of horror games too, man. You go into a room fuck. Bloodborne had my. No other game has ever gotten my heart pumping like fighting Abratus, daughter of the Cosmos. Oh man,
or like Martyr Logarius.
Oh fuck, Martyr Logarius.
Yeah. I literally I literally would check my pulse after I finally beat them. I was like, fuck, am I gonna have a heart attack? Holy shit, my pulse is racing. It took me 2 hours to beat Logarius. I thought Logarius was ridiculous. But
not to get too off topic, this is what I love about that game. A boss that's hard for you is not a Martyr Logarius. I whipped his ass the second time around. Breedis, I was there for a couple of days, and Brett, you know about me and Rom, like, poof.
Which
Man.
I don't get because like I do ROM in my sleep. I do ROM for funsies when I need more blood.
And that's the thing. That's the thing.
Rom made Brian fucking quit.
I'm still wrong.
I don't blame you. It almost killed me too. It almost
that's actually an interesting point that you made. Like I was playing Bloodborne at midnight when it released and I took the day off from work. So like, there's no way. There's just no way. So I beat Father Gascoigne the very first try, right? And I was like, oh, that wasn't bad. And then I read on the internet, everybody's like, fuck Father Gascoigne. And I'm like, but how are you guys having trouble? He wasn't hard. But then I hit Rom was a brick wall for me. I fought Rom for 4 hours before I beat him. And I just, it's just one of those things where everybody, that's what, every boss in those games poses a different problem for different people. Like in Dark Souls, Ornstein and Smoke, I actually quit the game for a month because I was like, I can't handle this. I can't handle this. And then I finally came back to it and I beat him. But, it's just I could talk on that. If you guys get me going about Miyazaki games,
we're gonna give you, Brett, and Chris a special podcast because you guys
call it.
Oh my god,
the Souls cast.
Darkest Souls.
I don't want to.
Just call it the bonfire.
Yeah, there you go, Chris. Go ahead.
I went in. I played a little bit of Old Hunters and I stopped, but I got to a boss that was just
Ludwig.
His voice alone will make you shit yourself. Like the sound design on him was like the most amazing thing I ever heard. I'm like,
you at my side all along.
No, not that voice. When you're fighting him.
Oh, when he's just running around going, bleh!
Yeah, that it's a nightmare. It's literally a nightmare.
What's really sad is I can quote lines from the fucking bosses in that game. I'm so pathetic.
No, man, you're a real gamer, man. Don't never be ashamed of that shit. All right, let's move on to some.
I can hear just thinking in the background. It's
by
the
way, let me get one thing in. I like Bloodborne 2.
Bloodborne was almost I think it was our de facto game of the year last year. Like, by default, because all of us loved it. All right,
hell yeah.
Let's move on to some fun stuff here. Fucking NPDs, man. Every month with this shit.
Oh.
All right, so this was basically deja vu. Sony won, beat beat Xbox. Call of Duty, Star Wars, and Fallout 3 won again. Brian, your favorite, Grand Theft Auto came back.
How? Yeah, I was saying before the show, how is it possible that GTA 5 comes back again? The game is nearly 3 years old now, and yet it still comes back. Rockstar must be just rolling around the money now. It's now spend all the money on all the blow and hookers that we need. Now what do we do with the extra cash? Because we just stuck now.
There's a janitor just sweeping up piles of money. It's it's in the way. We don't know where to put it.
You'll notice that Rockstar doesn't release stats for their games like Destiny or Star Wars, because what are you gonna say? 10 million hookers have been killed since 2013.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah,
it's not really a stat you can talk about.
That's because it's completely unfathomable. To try and ask someone to do would be to ask somebody to picture the entirety of God himself.
Our players have killed 36 innocent people since we launched the game. You can't do that.
Yeah. You'd be like, okay, try and comprehend 1,000 people beating hookers to death. And you're like, all right, now for each of those hookers being beaten to death, imagine 10,000 people blowing a line of cocaine. And for each of those people,
16. Franklin has gotten a blowjob in a dark alley from a skanky hooker 17 million times. That's not a stat I need to hear about. So.
Oh man. Okay, I just want to run through the list real quick. So this is 2015.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, no. Sorry about what? Anyway, okay. So Madden came in number 4. NBA again. Who keeps buying these fucking games? Grand Theft Auto came in at 6. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, Chris's favorite, came in at number 7. Brian, here you go. Number 8 and number 9, Minecraft.
Minecraft is the. Dude, that game's got legs like fucking...
It prints money.
Yeah.
Dude, do you not see the theme here?
What is the theme? Because I'm not...
Are we going to gloss over how Minecraft has 2 spaces? How is that possible?
Because one of them is the story mode game. That's
okay. Yeah. I was about to say, how is it possible that it has 2... Wait, it has 2 spaces?
Hey, it's still 2 Minecraft.
I'm finding this interesting, Tony.
Go ahead, Brett.
The longevity of games has increased, and people seem to be falling more back on their fallback games with high replayability than they used to. Like, you're not going so much chewing from game to game to game, as the behavior seems to be. You jump back and you fall back into the game that you really like. For Brian, it's like Warframe. For Rachel, it's Fallout. For a lot of people, it's Fallout. And between those games, like you play the big release that you want, that you get 12 to fucking 16 hours out of, but then you have all this time that you need to fill with your default game, and those default games are the ones that are selling the best. I mean, Minecraft is clearly one of those games.
But then these are sales numbers. It's not like hours spent, it's sales. So my thing is, how can a game consistently sell so much that it's in the top 10 for like years on end? Like, to me, that's unheard of. Like, usually they are in, then they're out, like on like a year-by-year basis. But this is like constantly selling. So it's like, who doesn't constantly have this game yet? That's my reason of thinking. Like, who hasn't bought GTA 5 yet? Like,
people who haven't gotten PlayStations yet.
Brian, how many copies do you have? You have like 3, right?
I have 3 copies.
Yeah, I have 2.
There's your answer. There's your answer.
But that's the thing. Okay, like mine's are reasonable, because again, it was the PS3 because it launched there first, and then the PS4 to play with friends, and then the PC because PC looks nice. But it's like, how can you consistently not have that game? It's like, who doesn't not have that game yet? It doesn't make sense.
Well, look at it this way. Who doesn't have a PlayStation? When you buy a PlayStation 4, are you not going to buy GTA?
That's what I'm saying. Brett, like you said, there's a lot of people on this planet who don't have a PlayStation. So there you go. You know?
Dude, a gamer turns 16 every day.
Yep, there you go.
That's a fact. And
it's still a lot more than other titles. Like, again, there was no Syndicate there. There was no Witcher 3 there. There was no Batman there. There was no Metal Gear Solid there. So it's like,
because those are flavor of the weeks. They're not the must-haves though. They're not they're not your bread and butters.
Man,
because I mean, companies like the reason you're constantly seeing games like Grand Theft Auto 5 in the NPDs since 2013 is because they only release. I mean, Grand Theft Auto is an event. I mean, and when it releases, it's a big deal because you only get one every 4 or 5 years. And a lot of the times when these games are released, like Grand Theft Auto is a good example. A lot of kids, when this came out in 2013, probably weren't old enough to play it. Probably weren't old enough for their parents to buy it for them because I mean, stores these days like Best Buy and GameStop absolutely do enforce the rating on the box. They will. I have seen people. I've seen retailers refuse to sell it to underage.
It must be nowadays, because when Manny and I used to go to stores, man, they don't even give a fuck.
Nowadays, nowadays they crack down on that shit. But and getting back to whoever said somebody turns 16 every day, I don't know who that was, but that was a very strange statement. And Brett, and that's exactly wise, because kids are getting older every single day, and what do they want to play? They want to play. It's like finding a box of your dad's pornos under the bed. It's like, oh, I've got to play this because I'm not supposed to play it. Society tells me I'm not supposed to like this kind of stuff, and that's why Grand Theft Auto sells. I mean, and society really tells you that you're not supposed to like Grand Theft Auto. I mean, hell, my wife.
Uh-oh.
I
think we lost him.
Oh no.
All right, there he is. You're back.
No. Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, that was weird. No, there's 2 of me now.
Yeah, he'll be missing. He's the clone. He's gonna get killed. So don't worry about him.
It's kind of like that game. It's kind of like that game Soma, man. Like my conscience has been copied into another person now.
So
and now here I am.
You were saying your wife.
My wife hates Grand Theft Auto. Like, she doesn't like it when I play it. And so people tell you you're not supposed to play these games. You're not supposed to like this, and that's exactly the reason a lot of teenagers want to buy Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty, because they're not supposed to play it.
Yeah, I want to get into. Oh, go ahead, Brett, because I need to get into the year games. I'm noticing a trend here too. But go ahead, say.
I want to put on my tinfoil hat for a second and suggest that there are actually 2 veins of selling games. One is the mass market media train, and that's the one everybody wants to talk about. That's the one the advertisers want to talk about. It's the one the game companies want to talk about. It's the one that Microsoft and Xbox want to talk about, because this is what sells new games most of the time. This is what sells games as they release. The cycle continues, and it moves on much like Hollywood. But then there's the other part of things that sell games. This is what I'm constantly, droning on about. And we're talking about legacy, we're talking about how this is received, we're talking about word of mouth. And this is an entirely different environment in which games are sold. This is the reason that GTA sells so much. This is the reason that Bloodborne sells so much. And that's that when somebody buys a game and really fucking enjoys it, they evangelize it to their friends. And so when somebody else picks up a PlayStation now and they talk to their friends, they're like, what are the games that I should get? These evangelized games are the ones get put in their head, which means without a marketing campaign, without a hype train, they perpetuate their existence forward through time. That's the reason people still fucking buy Half-Life 2. So, excuse me, the main problem is that you can't actually control this flow of information. You can't actively bet on making a game so good that people will recommend it to each other. So these people, they bet on the safer choice of trying to build up this hype on the media train. They try and build up the games like The Order. You know, it's I find it incredibly telling how much they trumpeted The Order when it was going head-to-head against Bloodborne, and then when The Order didn't sell well and Bloodborne did, they turned around and started acting like they had always held this up to be like, oh, Bloodborne was always going to be the prodigal child. We loved Miyazaki. Like, no, you didn't. You had so little faith that you gave it the tail-end scraps of the trailer videos that you couldn't fill with something else because it looked flashy. We all fucking know what that was. So I want to propose just for a fucking second here that part of what makes these games sell so well is because they're fan favorites, because they've been upheld by the community, and that's honestly being actively downplayed by the people who want to sell us these video games. So we can't ever really forget that.
Yeah, but here's one thing. This actually leads me right into the top games of the year. Bloodborne ain't on this list at all. As a matter of fact, looking at this list kind of bothers me because everyone always tells you, the industry always tells you, games sell the most during the holidays. We on the show always say that's bullshit, that's bullshit. But looking at this list, every one of these games, except for maybe 3 of them, they all came out during the holidays. Like, damn, Call of Duty Black Ops, #1 game of the year. Madden, #2 game of the year. Fallout 4, #3. Star Wars, #4. Grand Theft Auto 5, #5. NBA 2K, Minecraft, FIFA, Mortal Kombat X is the only game that didn't come out during the fucking fall. And then just for fun, let's throw Call of Duty Advanced Warfare in there for 2015. This game came out in 2014. So that whole thing about like games sold the most during the holidays, fuck if it isn't true, and that makes me very, very upset.
Dude, Fallout would have walked away no matter when it was released. Fallout may have a spot in the NPDs next fucking year.
Yeah, I mean, that game's selling. Well, Mortal Kombat is the only fucking game on this list that didn't release during the fall.
If Grand Theft Auto 5 is still on this list, if we're talking the beginning of next year, it's still Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't know.
Well, there is, the reason these games sell so well in the holidays because you'll notice the same kind of games get released in the holiday season. Like had Bloodborne sold very well for what it was. I mean, it's a niche title. I mean, it is, and nobody can say it's not. I wish it was, and I wish it was mainstream, but that's just the way it is. Had Bloodborne released in the winter of any year, it would have been obliterated. It would have been murdered. Yeah. Because those games don't speak to a mass market. They speak to a very core group of very dedicated players.
They're also slow burn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, games like Call of Duty speak to a much wider audience because they give people an experience that they wouldn't normally have. Not everybody goes off to join the military, so the next best thing is to play Call of Duty. Star Wars, Star Wars Battlefront, it has its flaws, but you know what? It's a beautiful game. I honestly think Star Wars Battlefront sold on the merits of its looks and almost nothing else. It's a great game.
The name.
And that's the thing. Combined, with the movie coming out, I mean, it has.
Plus DICE.
Honestly, I mean, look at the way that Hardline sold after Battlefield 4. DICE lost a lot of consumer goodwill after what happened with Battlefield 4 because nobody can argue that Battlefield 4 was anything other than a massive clusterfuck. I mean, that game was just a huge, and Hardline sold a fraction of what Battlefield 4 did. Now, those problems weren't replicated with Battlefront, but it's interesting to see the difference between Battlefront sales and Assassin's Creed Unity. And what do I mean by, or Assassin's Creed Syndicate? And what do I mean by that is that Syndicate sold well last year on the back of the fact that it's a Ubisoft Assassin's Creed game, but it was riddled with bugs and plagued with bugs. And so with Syndicate this year sold a substantially fewer amount of copies than Unity did, right? So you would think that you could apply the same thing to Battlefront and say, well, DICE really fucked us with Battlefield and Battlefield 4, so we're going to be wary of giving our money to but no, that's not what happened. I mean that game sold
ignoring the fact that they tapped a new market is the problem. Myself included, like, I have never been a fan of hugely paramilitary shooters, like, especially when they first came out. And I realize this is probably limited more to me than it is to most people, but when especially it came out, it was basically historical tragedy simulators. Like, I honestly had no interest, and I'm sorry if that description upsets anybody. I'm not talking down on your preferred hobby. It's just the way that I've always seen it. Like, I always find it incredibly ironic with like the Call of Duty Rising Sun sold so well in Japan. I was like, do you not realize that you're like, you know what? Never mind. It's not even worth going into that. So there were a whole lot of people like me who had been interested in the mechanics and the developing. I mean, this is a kind of game that's been developing for a decade, but I'm not really interested in the modern warfare of the Battlefield. So when you take that and put it in a new setting, when you put it in Star Wars, okay, so you're going to take all the experience that you've accrued from doing these kinds of games for so long and bring it to a new setting. You open yourself up to a new audience. So even though I've never owned a Battlefield game before, never owned a Call of Duty game before because they're just not my jam, I absolutely bought Battlefield or Battlefront.
It makes sense. That's what it is. So they didn't hit those Battlefield guys. They hit the guys who love Star Wars and the guys who like to shoot shit. They hit that market, and it makes sense. We called this game a success months ago. We were like, this game's gonna fucking sell. It's coming out with the movie. It's Star Wars. That's all you fucking need. And look at that. Oh
yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Which is why people said, oh, this is a casual game. It's a casual. And I'm like, yeah, what were you expecting? I mean, it's Star Wars. They need to appeal. This game will appeal to a much broader audience than Battlefront or the Battlefield or Hardline or whatever. I mean, I would argue that it appeals to a broader audience than Call of Duty because
it does. Star Wars is more popular. The brand, even though Call of Duty is still the #1 fucking game, but you're right about that. And I know a lot of people complain about the mechanics of it. It's really simple, but that simplicity is the reason it keeps selling. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, I personally, I really enjoy. I love it. I'm a huge Star Wars guy. I mean, I don't know if you guys see my shirt, but
yep.
I'm a huge Star Wars guy, and it's a very simple game, and there's not a whole lot of meat on its bones, but I have a blast playing it. And I'm not very good at competitive first-person shooter games, so I appreciate the fact that it's pretty casual.
There you go. The other thing I want to talk about with NPDs, which is cool. So apparently the current consoles are outselling the last-gen consoles by 47%. That's a lot.
Consoles are dead, man.
Consoles are dead, right? Remember how mobile was?
Well, because gamers are dead.
Yeah, right. Shit. So I love seeing that stat specifically because it tells you all these analysts are full of fucking shit.
Well, I think it's just I think that what they were doing is it's not that they're full of shit. They're just basing it off of what is the current trends. It's not
but then again, you talk to guys like us, it's like no.
Well,
we knew it.
I agree. I don't think it's necessarily that they're full of shit. I think the problem is that 7th generation lasted 2 years too long, and after a while, console sales started to dip because the generation was going on too long, and we'd also reached market saturation.
Yeah, but remember, I'm not talking about the entirety of the generation. This is selling better than when those consoles originally came out.
Oh yeah, I completely get that. All I'm saying is that, and I'm just speaking, from the perspective of analysts saying, well, consoles are dying, consoles are dead.
Okay, gotcha.
As time goes on, the longer a thing is on the market, the less it's going to sell over time because more and more people are getting it. You're getting close to market saturation. So Generation 7 went on too long, and people said, that's it, consoles are done. You see, the sales are dropping off a cliff, they're dying. And then look what happened to PS4. It sold 1 million on its first day. And now it's tracking near the PS2, which is the highest selling console.
And the other thing people want to, hold on, Brett, I'm going to let you just this thing because people keep going on about the Xbox not selling too well. Xbox One is outselling the fucking Xbox 360, which was for a while the most successful console of last gen. So we're doing really good. Anyway, Brett, go on.
I want to remind everybody that first of all, it wasn't necessarily analysts that were the ones trumpeting the whole consoles are dead. It was a lot of journalists at the time, and these are the same asshole group of journalists that were proven to be colluding through industry-wide emails when deciding on not only just what they would report, but the lens through which they would report it. That's the whole reason that they came out with the series of articles on like 7 different websites on the same fucking day saying that gamers are dead. It was a backdoor group that decided that they knew best because of their internalized circle jerk think tank and tried to impose that will on the rest of the industry. And that has led to some explosive and groundbreaking stuff that is still fucking going on to this day. So let's all take this with a grain of salt and remember that these people, when this was said specifically, had a very specific agenda to push. And that agenda seemed to be on the line of trying to fracture the gaming community for one reason or another. So this shares both the tone and the timing of gamers are dead. So I don't think it's...
They were
Go
basically.
ahead.
I was just going to say they were basically the Patriots from Metal Gear Solid 4 for the gaming community.
Damn the Patriots!
By the way, Brett, a small correction. It wasn't 7 sites that posted the same thing. It was 14. Just be clear.
Okay.
Oh,
I figured I'd guess conservatively because I didn't remember it. I didn't want to be accused of hyperbole.
No, Brett, just take that number 7, just double it. Literally, that's how. Yeah. The thing is, the timing is a little off, though. The whole thing you're talking about, the whole Gamergate thing, it didn't coincide with Consoles Are Dead. The Consoles Are Dead came a year before that. You know, guys. Like
But we had all been. That was the time in which every one of us were sitting around going, "There's something really fucked up with the way that these people are reporting things." It took us a year to get the fucking proof, but that shit had. You're telling me that shit hadn't been rotten by that time?
No, dude. But because Gamergate happened last year, right? I've been in the industry maybe 2 years prior to that. Torrance put me on to like, dude, this is what's really going on in the industry. So I knew something was coming, you know, it just happened. You know, like basically all the shit I've been telling people for years came to fruition. Like, hey, this is what these motherfuckers think of you, you know? So, yeah. Go ahead.
You know that there was an email that went around that said basically where we're all going to stand on this is we're going to say that there probably won't be another generation of consoles. Like that was a thing that was decided internally in a group email by a bunch of fucking journalists. Nobody said this. Nobody at PlayStation went, I don't think we should release another console. I don't like making money. I think we should just do a downloadable service because consumers seem to love that shit. Like, I don't think that they're that dumb. I really honestly don't. Maybe that's me giving them too much credit. But like this whole concept just seems ridiculous enough to be like, you hear this motherfucking shit? They say there's not going to be a PlayStation 5, which, you know what? Sends a link and gets a click and gets advertising money. Like it's,
they're already working on the PlayStation 5.
Oh, you know it. They're working on the successors for sure. You know, but consoles are dead, right? Come on.
Yeah, so that this whole thing is just baseless clickbait that somehow got paraded around as actual news in hindsight. So like I'm not belittling the conversation. I'm belittling the people who started the conversation and just reminding everybody to keep that in mind when we're talking about this.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is overwhelmingly clear at this point that there will always be a space in the living room for a dedicated gaming console.
Yes.
You know, and that's just the way it is. And you know, these consoles may evolve in the way that they deliver these games to us, but there is always going to be a box in a home that plays a game.
There'll always be a man in a lighthouse.
There's a man in the lighthouse. There's a man in the lighthouse. You know, like I understood that reference. But
see, I'm testing you too, man.
I played BioShock Infinite. I loved it.
Awesome. All right, let's move on here. Related. So Xbox sold 18 million. Now I want to tell you guys how they derived at this because it wasn't like Microsoft told you this. We had to do a little number crunching to figure this out. So they came out with this. This is an official one. There are 200 active Xbox 10 units out there, right? 200 million in the entire planet. 180 million of those account for computers, right? About 1 million or so, maybe 2 million account for phones, right? So the rest, Xbox Ones, which we all know run on Windows 10. What I find funny about this is Xbox guys are coming out saying, no, you actually sold more than that, Xbox. You didn't sell 18 million. You sold more than 18 million. You know, and this coincides with Sony's news saying, hey, we sold 35.9 million consoles. And they're saying, no, Sony's lying to you. Let me break some shit down to you guys because you guys are fucking stupid. Let me break this down. A publicly traded company cannot flat out lie like that. Do you know how illegal that shit is to lie to their shareholders like that? If Sony tells you they sold that many consoles, that's how many they fucking sold. They can't lie. It's illegal shit. They will be penalized. You know, I'm penalized. You know, that's a slap in the wrist. Something worse could happen. You can't go around lying like that. If Microsoft is telling you they have 200 million, you know, whatever units out there active, that's the truth. okay? They're not lying to you. So stop with the, tinfoil hat bullshit. It's like, listen, if the company gives you these numbers, that's probably the truth because they can't fucking lie to you, so just accept it.
There was actually...
You're seriously going to tell Phil Spencer, no, Phil Spencer, you actually sold 25 million Xboxes. Come on, guys. What the hell is wrong with you?
There is actually a theory being floated around among certain fanboy communities that Sony is buying their own PS4s and putting them in warehouses.
So, this is the world we come to now. This is where fanboyism gets you. This crazy shit. And the reason I have this story on here is because me and John here were in the middle of this shit during the beginning of the week.
Oof.
Like these guys, you don't listen to logic. Like, a company cannot fucking lie like that. They will get in trouble.
Well, there are major repercussions for lying to your shareholders. I mean, you're talking about a legal matter here. I mean, it's not just we want to hide how many consoles we haven't sold. No, you'll get. There's an international trade commission that will drop the fucking hammer on you if you lie to your shareholders. They will sell their shares, and then you've got nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See, this guy knows what's up. You can lie to consumers. You cannot lie to your shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
There are protections in place for that shit. Because remember, shareholders are the real fucking consumers at the end of the day.
Man. Oh, Brett, I got a question for you about that on Throwdown Your Questions. Ooh, I can't wait to... Brett, I know it's a question for you. I want to answer this shit. So yeah, guys, just please stop with that nonsense. You can't spin all these stories like, oh, Sony, they didn't actually sell that much. They're lying to you. Like, no.
Well, you can obfuscate. You can curate. You can borderline not quite tell the truth, but you can't fucking directly lie to people with a paper trail and a record leading back to you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you want obfuscation? You should see Microsoft's PR statement today.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that in a bit.
But,
Chris, go ahead, man.
No, I mean these fanboy theories are insane. Next, they're gonna be like, well, obviously Sony knows the mole people, and they've been burying PS4s in the hollow earth because it just sounds insane.
It's kind of like Go ahead.
Here's my question. Judging by the sales numbers, PlayStation is outselling Microsoft at a rate of almost 2-to-1, right?
Yeah.
And while that's great that everybody is selling more consoles, we are now facing a problem where I don't necessarily want to see the industry become this one-sided. I've gone from seeing 3 competitive consoles to one console controlling 66% of the market share. That's not necessarily a good thing for us consumers. So what I find really weird is we've gotten to the point where the reality of the situation is it's getting so one-sided that it's almost looking bad on us, and yet still people from a certain camp refuse to acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, one person's winning. It's like the people playing the violins as the Titanic goes down. Like, you guys do realize that there's a bigger fucking problem that you are just not seeing, right? Like, maybe...
That's why I think it's crucial that whatever system Nintendo puts out this year, I think it's crucial for the industry that it does well.
It would be great for the industry if this happened.
No, well, I see. Like, I saw the Twitter thing between Tony and the fanboys. I saw that thread, dude, and I was thinking Tony's that guy on the Titanic, the designer, and then these other fanboys are like, it's made of steel, it can't sink, and Tony's like, yes, it can sink.
Yeah,
and it will.
Is heavy, guys. Steel is heavy, and it can sink. We're losing buoyancy here. You don't understand that. No. How can something made of steel sink? Because it's made of steel, bitch.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that was something else. I was a part of that. That was.
Yeah, I saw that back.
You saw it, though. You saw it. Oh my god. Yeah. So you fanboys, you need to get off that Kool-Aid, man. Holy fucking shit.
Again, it's like, why can't you celebrate what things that you've got? You have some really great exclusive titles. Microsoft is still, regardless of it not doing as well as Sony, it's still doing damn well. So it's not going anywhere.
Because people need to validate their purchases.
Yeah, that's
exactly it. People need to validate their purchases. They can't either way. It's like, okay, I got this system. Okay, it's got to be the greatest system because I chose it.
Yeah, but it's like, well, this is the way I see it, right? Okay, let's say you had a really nice house before, right? You just upgraded to a really fancy house. You're getting more money now and shit. You're doing great. but you're pissed off because your neighbor has a bigger house than you. It's like, you just upgraded. You just have more money now. Why are you complaining?
I can tell you why, Tony, because it's that fucking schoolyard mentality shit. It's if I go out and I buy a GameSphere 2000, right? And I come home and I fucking plug it in because they promised me, you know, a seed that I plant that grows into a tree that encompasses the whole fucking world, right?
Yes.
And I turn it on, and it's like this like 8-bit shovelware piece of shit. And I jump online to complain. Honestly, the reactions are probably going to be, you fucking fag, you're an idiot for buying a GameSphere. Like, you know what? It's not my, like, I don't know where we've all decided to turn on each other and place the responsibility of a bad product on that of the consumer. Like, we need to be holding the companies responsible, but instead it turns into some, like, bullshit like, oh, I'm sorry, we're playing Transformers and you brought a GoBot. Go fuck yourself. I'm not putting Optimus Prime near you.
It gets so bad. It gets so vile that I was listening to one of these podcasts just to see, you know, and one of these guys says, "Oh yeah," and that piece of shit Neil Druckmann, and I was like,
"What? Come on,
I was
man.
like, why is he a piece of shit? I don't get it. Like what did he do to you? I don't understand." And that's how you know, people like for example, Cliff Blazinski got into it on Twitter just the other day with a bunch of trolls, with a bunch of guys who were tweeting him all this horrible bullshit, and he's like, I don't even know who you guys are. Like, I don't understand what's happening. And people saying, oh, Cliff, you're a washed up, you're a has-been. And he asked why, and he says, well, because you're not making games, you know, exclusive games for Xbox One. You betrayed us. And I'm like,
wow.
Well, I didn't realize you could betray a console. Like, I mean, you could. You know, yeah, oh, yeah, it's horrible shit.
Well, if you take the card out of the back of the instruction manual, cut a wound across your palm, swear a blood oath, and smear it in, you send it in, and you are part of Cliff Blazinski's blood clan then, and he turned his back on those people.
Yeah.
Or nobody actually sent in the card because it doesn't fucking exist, and these people are off their goddamn rockers. One of those two, I'm not sure which.
You know, I don't understand. Number one, I don't understand why they have to be angry at him. I mean, to be honest, you know, I would say this with Hideo Kojima. I mean, he made a bunch of games that were mostly PlayStation exclusives. When they went Xbox, you didn't see all the PlayStation guys going, you know.
They didn't give a fuck.
They didn't give a fuck.
Because they still got to play the games.
They're not getting the games. That's the shitty part.
Exactly.
They're mad that somebody else is getting a video game.
Yeah.
Hey, but Brett, here's the best part. I've seen these guys literally going, hey, Brett, okay, I'm going to set you off right now, Brett. I literally saw a petition going, hey, we want to keep Ark on Xbox. We don't want PlayStation to get it. Why would you want to deny people a fucking game?
Okay. At that point, you have become a character of a human being. Like, you have literally become a Disney villain. You are a person sitting there wanting somebody to not enjoy an experience that other people like for no good reason. You're like a bad art student's painting of a corporate suit with a TV head on it and a dollar sign drawn in the middle. Like
you're like the Donald Trump of video games at this point, right?
Yeah,
like,
pretty much. And don't get me wrong, there is toxicity out the ass. I was on a Reddit forum, and I made a mention. I just made a mention, like a casual mention, when they said it was $600. Like, wow, that's highly unfortunate. I'm not going to be able to afford this. And people immediately started dogpiling, like, well, you cheap son of a bitch. Maybe you should have planned for it. I was like, I'm sorry. I was paying. My wife was going through cancer treatment, and I couldn't really afford to do this. And people still jumped on the fucking bandwagon, like, well, maybe you should realize this is an entertainment expenditure, and maybe you should get your priorities straight. Maybe you should be buying video games. And I was like, I'm not. Like, just this avalanche of people telling me what a shitty person I am because I had the audacity to want to be able to play this thing that I'm just not going to have the money to do, and how I'm like somehow avoiding responsibility or being a shitty husband by simply wanting to do this. It strikes me as very clear class warfare. There seems to be people want to talk shit to people who don't have the money to do stuff. Like, I'm sorry that I can't afford all the systems. This doesn't make me an asshole. Like,
I was just going to say, like, there's a petition on change.org. Change.org to keep Titanfall 2 on Xbox.
Yeah.
Wow.
What the fuck?
And I'm like, when you need civic help to try to keep a video game on a platform, then you're probably going to die alone. Okay, that's just me. So have at it.
I mean, how has the insecurity reached this point?
Yeah.
Like we've gone, past the point of reason.
How do you hate somebody though for wanting the same thing that you have when them wanting it doesn't keep you from having it at all?
Exactly.
Like
and how do you
it's
hate
just
a piece of plastic? That's the other thing. It's like, okay, hating like an anonymous person is bad enough, right? And you're gonna hate a piece of plastic in a whole company and you don't even fucking know that doesn't know you.
Right.
People send death threats over this shit, Tony.
Yeah,
they send death threats.
No.
I got a death threat from some guy named Blackie Lebowski on Twitter.
Wow.
And,
just for talking about it.
And he called my wife a cunt, and I'm like, you don't even know my wife. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I told my wife that. She says, "Who's Blackie Lebowski?" Like, I don't even know this. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Dumb motherfucker. That's what it is.
But no, he tweeted me a picture of a gun, and I'm like, okay, like I don't. Okay, random person on Twitter I'm never gonna meet in real life. I mean, it's like I don't understand why. I don't understand why.
My wife sent a tweet basically saying she was disappointed to Dan Harmon and Spencer Crittenden for some tweets that they had posted. Just literally saying like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. And he sent her a picture that was at the very least him taking a shit, at the very worst him flashing his dick at her via Twitter.
What?
Wow.
Like, and these are people that like are upheld and sponsored by Twitter. Like, I gotta say, I think the problem's the fucking system at this point.
I think the problem's the fucking internet. That's the damn
that's the problem. No, Tony, let's be honest. The problem is people.
It is people because they have the internet, right? Which you could be anonymous and you could be a fucking asshole.
It wouldn't happen if everybody knew each other's name.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to tell you this right now.
No, it still would happen, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, if you had to put all of your information in and put your real name in, would you really be a dick if somebody could come to your house and really do that to you? No.
Manny,
especially
never underestimate
right there. Nobody wants that.
Wait, go ahead, Brian.
Never underestimate the power of stupid people in groups, Manny.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't want to give people home addresses, then they'll just send mail bombs.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, let's move on here.
Can I just point out something like really quick? Just because it's been like a bit one-sided, and like the Xbox fans might feel a bit upset at the moment. So let's just I'll just soothe them very quietly. There's actually a petition to bring Bloodborne to the PC. It didn't reach its 50,000 maximum. But then there was also a petition to not bring Bloodborne to the PC, which also didn't reach its maximum of 1,000.
So stupid.
Why would you want to keep it off any console?
Yeah.
It seems like people's preferences make them really upset. I don't understand that. It's like, I'm sat here playing PC games, and you guys love console games. Like, I'm perfectly fine with that. Like, hey, we can talk about Fallout 4, like, all day long, and we do. Like, we play it on different platforms, but we still talk about the same damn game.
Exactly.
But this shows the insecurity just surpasses all logic. If you guys are arguing that somehow Xbox is selling so well, then why do you need to petition to keep games off of competing consoles?
Good point.
Right?
How about a simple blanket rule of, if you find yourself arguing for the fact that somebody somewhere should not be able to enjoy a video game, maybe you're on the wrong side of the fucking argument.
Yep.
I agree.
You said it perfectly.
You can't elaborate and bet on that.
Exactly. All right, so let's move on to the last story here. This is a silly one, too. Fucking stupid. All right, so Sony tries and fails to trademark the term "Let's Play."
Oh, God, yeah.
This is an example of corporate mentality that I cannot wrap my head around. This is the most generic fucking term that millions of people use, and you're going to try to trademark it. it's like, Sony, you didn't think you were going to win this, right? It's fucking dumb. The main reason I want to bring this up because people were honestly going, oh, Sony wanted to charge regular people. No, they weren't. They wanted to charge Microsoft to use it, which is stupid, too.
They wanted to use it as a slogan.
That's what I think, too. Yeah, you kind of like greatness awaits, or, you know, it only does everything. I think they meant it. You know, a lot of people say, oh, Sony's trying to take over gaming. No, they're not trying to take over gaming.
No, they're not.
Having said that, I am glad that the patent was turned down because it is very, very easy to make. I mean, you can take that and become really draconian with it on YouTube.
Remember when Gene Simmons tried to trademark OJ? It's not going to work, man.
Okay.
Well, here's the. Go ahead. No, please, Brett.
There's a lot of gray area in this that people need to understand about patent law and trademarking and things like that. Like, that only really kicks into place when you could actually and genuinely confuse the two brands. Like, the simple fact that one is an activity and one is to be used most likely like a slogan. Like, if they were trying to trademark it like a slogan so that they could use it, that would be fairly innocuous because you couldn't then necessarily go after the people who are saying, you know, we're going to have a Let's Play session. Especially since you could prove, like, this is a thing that's been in the industry before that. If, however, you tried to be like Twitch, quote, let's play, like, they wouldn't be able to do that. So Sony was more not trying to, in my opinion, keep people off of being able to use this as trying to be able to actually brand an already popular zeitgeist-implanted set of words and then basically make money off of its inherent mimetic popularity. Like, they were just trying to cash in on something that was already there.
That's actually exactly what it was, Brady. It's not what you think. That's exactly what it was. They weren't trying to keep regular people from using it. They were just wanting to use the term. And just for sake of clarity, they specifically wanted to do this for the streaming, you know, game streaming. That's what they wanted to use it for, you know. But they weren't trying to keep regular people from using it. They was just like, hey, Microsoft's trying to use it. They can't do it because we patented it. You know, shit like that. That's what they were trying to do.
Tony, I think the really interesting thing is the actual reason that the patent / trademark was turned down.
Yes, bring it up. Yeah, why did they do that?
You know, so it wasn't actually turned down, and a lot of people aren't talking about this, but some are. It wasn't actually turned down because it was a stupid thing to try to patent, which
it's already been patented.
But it's already owned. There's a company in Georgia called Let's Play, and
with a Z, you know.
With a Z, yeah, Let's Play, you know, because that's all the way the kids are spelling it these days.
Yeah.
And you know, the minute you put Z on something, it's cool. But
in the year 2000.
Yeah, I know, right? But I tried looking them up, and the only thing I could find is that they set up gaming events, and I couldn't find anything else. There's a few T-shirts, and that's it. But the actual phrase itself is already owned. So people are like, you know, oh, Sony, and I'm like, somebody already owns it, you know. And from what I hear, Sony can appeal the decision in 6 months. I don't really think that. At least I don't think they will. Just due to the fact that were they to win that patent, it would garner so much backlash from the gaming community, you know, because whether or not you want to think they would do it or not, people would see that and say, oh, they're trying to take over.
They were saying that, dude. You saw these guys doing videos. I'm not going to name the guys who did these videos, but they were trying to say, why aren't people outraged that Sony tried to take gaming away from gamers? That's the narrative they were spinning. You know, it's like, you guys fucking dumb. That's not their intention. But I still maintain that Sony was just stupid to do this in the first place.
Agreed. It was a boneheaded. It was a. I mean, in what world does Sony? I can imagine the face of their PR guy when he saw that somebody had made that patent claim. He must have been like, oh God, it's gonna be a late night, man. Like,
unless he was Microsoft's PR guy. We didn't even get to that part, man.
Oh man.
We don't need to get into that bullshit.
He was just sitting in his chair, Tony.
Huh? You know,
he was just sitting right in his chair.
Oh man, ridiculous. So yeah, it's not gonna happen, guys. Sony's not gonna try to take gaming away from you.
No.
All right. So let's start wrapping this up. But before we do that,
I want to talk about the Deadpool thing.
No, we're skipping that.
Rant off. You know, I had him rant off in like 2 hours.
You know what? You know, just for Brett and for myself, I'll rant off about this because, okay. So let me break this down. So today, some woman, right? She has a podcast. She used to be like a Marvel writer, Boom Studios. So she started a petition to get a PG. Brett, calm down, by the way. Please let me finish because I know you're gonna want to jump. She's starting a petition to get a PG-13 version of Deadpool out there because some snot-nosed 8-year-old punk kid wanted her, like, it's like, hey, I want to see Deadpool. I do my homework. I have really good grades. I think Deadpool's funny. I saw the trailer, so I want to see the movie, but I can't because it's R-rated. It's like, can you help me? And she was like, okay, let's start a petition. 14,000 people signed this shit. So and I went off on fucking Twitter. I'm like, okay, listen, you little kid, you want to see Deadpool? Tell your fucking mom to take you. Remember when our parents used to take us to rated R movies? You can still do that.
Yeah, man.
You're not gonna explode.
Yeah, well, you know what? I want my next pizza delivered by half-naked female ninjas fighting the Predator, but it's not going to happen.
The thing is that number one, as a child, I saw RoboCop, I saw
Predator,
freaking Terminator, and Predator. All those friggin' films, and you know what? I saw it with my father and my mom, and you know what they did before that? They prepared me for what I was about to see.
And this kid isn't 6; he's 8. You could sit down with and say, hey, listen, this is what you're gonna see in the movie. Some shit's gonna go down. It's not real. You could do that,
Yeah.
but no. Let's tell Fox to delay the movie, to fucking re-edit the thing to cater to fucking children.
They're not going to do that.
No,
No.
They're not shitty parents. Yeah. It's okay. Like you're talking about taking a kid to see a character whose whole thing is talking shit, using bad words, and fucking cutting people's heads off. He runs around murdering people. You're not going to cut that shit out. So what are we left with? We're left with bad fucking words because you don't want to be a parent and talk to your kid about what they can or can't say, because God forbid he lets an F-bomb drop in front of the fucking Johnsons because feelings make you uncomfortable when you're not on your fucking Xanax. You want to go and change that entire shit, but still subject your kid to a movie where a psychopath murders hundreds of people for his own personal gain. You do not understand the concept of what is and what is not fucking important. It's just like you're burning the meatloaf and then being upset because you don't have artisan fucking ketchup. All you're going to do is water this down for the rest of us, cause a whole bunch of people to waste a whole bunch of money, and then when that doesn't work out, are you going to pay the money that the people lose? Are you going to pay the extra money when people are like, oh, it's a fucking PG Deadpool movie. Nobody wants to see this. No, you're going to stick your hands in your fucking pocket and then walk away with little fucking Connor so you can get him some gluten-free oatmeal cookies from Whole Foods before you drive him to fucking soccer practice, you overprotective bitch. Just let it be done. It is a character. Quit trying to destroy the very core of what a character is to please your own fucking ends. If you have a problem with that, go see fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah. Brett, I really don't feel like you're getting fired up enough.
Oh man.
Brett's soapbox is like long.
I don't believe you, Brett. I don't believe you. You're not passionate enough.
So Brett's soapbox has just become a billion-mile building.
It's a freaking rocket, dude.
No, this is like Brett just said it all perfectly. This is, and I'm gonna say this term. I don't give a fuck why I offend. This is the pussification of America once again. We're racing a nation of fucking sissies. And I tweeted this too. In 50 years' time, fucking Russia and China are gonna invade this country, and they're gonna take it over with ease because we're gonna be just a bunch of fucking pussies here. This is what we're raising. Oh, let's not take little Timmy to see that R-rated movie. He's fucking 8. He's gonna have hair on his balls in 2 years. Take him to see the fucking movie. Make him into a man. This is it's so like I can't
just sit down and be like, this is make-believe. You're gonna see a guy hurting a bunch of other guys. They're probably all bad people. It's like your cartoons. None of this is real. By the way, the things that he says, these are grown-up words. If I catch you saying them, I'm taking a fucking rolling pin to the back of your knees.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
And also got news for you parents out there. If you've ever, if anybody knows out there, if you've ever been to school, fucking kids curse like sailors.
All the fucking time.
All the freaking time. They curse because they can curse, because you're not a fucking round.
I just want to say to this woman who started this petition and whatever, your children are not perfect, sweet angel babies. They're not like little snowflakes that need to be protected from the world. It's like, let them fucking grow up, all right? And even if he couldn't see the movie, deal with it. He'll get old enough eventually.
You
He'll
know
get
what?
it on Blu-ray. Buy it for him.
It'll become that one thing that you're like, oh my god, did you see that movie? Remember, I remember kids not being able to see RoboCop, and it's just been passing the tape around, just like, oh my god, this is so awesome.
If that kid had said that in my presence, all that shit about Deadpool, I would have just looked at him and been like, you know what, dude, in 3 years, you're going to be the reason for your parents' divorce. So,
Here's the other thing.
It's going to be all your fault, okay? I want you to live with that knowledge.
Here is the other thing. He can, theoretically, he can't see a PG-13 version of Deadpool either alone.
Yeah, because he's not fucking 13.
Because he's not 13.
Listen, you're gonna need parental permission no matter what. So go see the fucking R-rated movie. Stop fucking complaining. This is
it doesn't matter to the mom, but see, that's the thing. The mom can break the rules on a PG-13 movie, but the mom doesn't want to break the rules on a rated R movie, which shows that she gives zero flying fucks about the system that's put in place for her, and instead is going off her own arbitrary rule system, which is fine, except for the fact that she then wants all the rest of us to run by the arbitrary rule system that she does. She's decided a PG-13 movie would be acceptable, so she'll go ahead and break the rules a little bit and let her son see that. But really what she would need, and if we were actually going by the fucking rulebook, would be a G-rated Deadpool. And nobody fucking wants that shit. How does he even know about Deadpool? Are you letting him read the Deadpool comics? That's a terrible idea.
I can tell you exactly
That's
why.
another thing.
He saw the trailer, the PG-13 trailer. He's like, hey, that's funny. I want to see the movie. Oh, but it's rated R. My mom's not going to let me. Come on.
It's because he's seen the trailer and he loves X-Men. So I can only assume that he's watched the movies.
Yeah, he's
or
watched
X-Men on Disney XD. Since Disney has a whole Marvel show. It's fucking terrible. I mean, I've watched it. It's like, wow, this is just trash. It's worse than the '90s one, and the '90s one were bad. So that's saying a lot. So yeah, I totally agree with anything. And all I have to say is, so what Brett is advocating here is that the parents do some parenting.
Yes.
That's unheard of, Brett. When did parents actually
stop in America? We don't do that in America anymore.
I'm sorry, I'm an idealist. I don't know what to tell you.
So what you're asking for is parents to do their jobs. Wow, that's a tough boat there, Brett.
Yeah. And then this fucking woman, she's like, oh, but look at his face. How can you say no to that? Yes, I can't say no to you, fucking little piece of shit kid. Fuck you. This movie's not for you. Simple as that. Oh, man.
Yeah, you just lean in real place and go, no. No. No.
Your parents don't really love you.
Yeah, kiss my ass, man. You're not seeing this fucking movie.
I think you brought up the inherent problem. Parents don't know how to say no.
Yeah.
So now the rest of America has to suffer with a PG-13 Deadpool.
Really, just for your little Timmy, so he could go see the movie. The PG-13 movie, he's not supposed to be seeing either because he's fucking 8.
I don't know, man.
No, not even because of Timmy. Because of Timmy's fucking mom. Because Timmy's fucking mom feels like a special fucking snowflake. The whole world has to change around for her. If you want your kid to see this movie enough to write a petition, how about you just take your kid to see the movie?
By the way, to be fair, it wasn't the mom who started the petition. It was this woman podcaster that started the petition.
I do believe that the kid wrote into the woman that started the petition.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
But even then, that's even worse.
Yeah, because he listens to her podcast, right? And he sends her this letter. Man, he says to me, did he write it in crayon too?
With the R's backwards.
Yeah. Okay,
in fact, I'll check.
If that kid, if that kid is listening, your paper does listen. Your parents don't love you.
Yeah.
They don't.
Man. They bought you a dog and then returned it.
Yeah, basically.
No, it's written in pencil by the looks of it. There seems to be some errors that he made.
They bought you a dog to try to take their mind to try to take their minds off of you. That's what it was.
Yeah, basically, fucking little piece of shit kid. All right. So that's pretty much it for the show. But we teased it at the beginning, so let's talk about it now. So Throwdown got called out by Panel to Panel, which is a new podcast on the Coalition. So let's give you guys a little bit of history. So last week on Throwdown Your Questions, we were asked a comic book question, right? We answered it, and to be fair,
they said that we didn't answer it. I watched that episode.
We answered the fucking question. I said anything from Valiant. That's what I'm looking forward to. We answered the question, but obviously this led into a wider conversation about diversity in comics, right?
Yes.
they didn't seem to like what we had to say. As a matter of fact, they were trying to say, you guys don't read the books, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and we need to like versus against you so we could school you. And it's like, yeah, that's funny. Charles put out this video, right, saying like, hey,
Tony, yeah, I don't want to cut you off, man. I just realized it's 12:40. I got to get up for work in the morning.
Oh, sure, dude.
So I've got to draw, man. But hey, guys, real quick, I don't want to cut you off.
Plug your shit.
So yeah, real quick, I wanted to thank all you guys for being so accommodating, and especially you, Tony, for letting me on the show, man. I really appreciate it, dude. I'm sorry I got to leave early. I just realized what time it is.
Nah, it's all right, man.
So yeah, anybody who wants to come subscribe to our channel, just hit up youtube.com/superdeformedgamescast. Please, just subscribe. Even if you don't like us, just subscribe anyway, because we need the subs. So do that. I hope you guys come around and check us out every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come in the chat. We love engaging the audience. We love answering questions. We will talk to you. We will answer your questions. No questions asked. That didn't make any sense. But anyway, get into the fucking chat room. Get into the chat. I'm tired now, and I'm all delirious now. But
dude, thank you for being on, and thank you for being an awesome guest, man. You definitely fit the throwdown, man. And I hope this isn't the last time you'll be on, man. We gotta have you on.
I'll come on whenever you guys want.
We'll have you on again.
I'll come on whenever you guys want, man. I had absolute blast. Like I said, I'm a long-time listener, and I'm just thrilled to be on the show.
Awesome, man.
So yeah, hey, sorry again to drop early, guys, but you will definitely be hearing more from me in the future. I had a fucking blast with you guys. Anybody who's not subscribed to these guys, go subscribe right now. We'll be pushing you guys on our channel as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, dude. We'll see you, man.
Awesome, guys. Take it easy, guys.
Take care, man.
All right, so anyway, Charles makes this quick 15-second video going like, oh, so we heard Throwdown is talking about comics. Maybe you should leave that to us. Now, that struck me as funny because I'm like, hey, which is the only podcast on the Coalition with an actual comic book artist? Is it panel to panel? No, it's us. So if anyone's going to be talking about comics, it's fucking us right here. And I'm taking cheap loads right now, but I don't care because, you guys challenged us.
Say something to the verses, please.
Yeah, no, it's like me, Chris, and Manny. We've been reading comics probably longer than some of you guys on the show, right? We could talk about motherfucking comics here. So
what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Chris and Manny?
Yeah,
I'm the one sitting here with the 1994 full set of Marvel Masterpiece.
Well, Brett, you're the baby of the podcast, but you probably count too. You're probably older than some of these guys.
Yeah, Brett, I have all series 1, 2, and 3 of the Masterpiece cards.
Oh, my man.
Also, I'm going to excuse the panel to panel the guys because they don't exactly know how the industry actually works, which I in fact
you went there.
And a lot of the decisions that are made. This is all serious. This is not I'm not trying to burn any bridges.
I was actually just hamming it up, by the way. I love those guys. Obviously, I'm just hamming it up. Yeah. Man, he's being serious right now.
Well, the thing is that a lot of these things are done because of outcry. Reason why you see certain types of characters show up, reason why you see changes in guard and stuff, because there is a market and there's an outcry for that sort of thing. All these guys are doing, plain and simple, are playing up to what society is asking for. The minute that it starts to become unpopular or the book doesn't do well, you will not see any of these things. You will not see a female Thor. You will not see Falcon as Captain America. The only reason why this is being done is because they want you to get talking and to pick up the book, and that's the only reason.
Yeah, I mean, save some of that for the show, but yeah, so you guys challenge us, so we're gonna bring it, and we're gonna bring the heat, because I'm in the chat room with these panel guys, cool dudes and stuff. But they're so wrong on so many levels, and they think they're in the right. They're convinced, like, oh, they have so much ammo, they're going to take us down. No, listen, and I said this, I'm going to say it live on air. We have 2 secret weapons. We have Manny, who's an industry veteran, and we have Brett. I don't need to say anything else. Brett alone. You see the fire this man brought tonight. We're bringing that to the show.
I'm just surprised anybody invited me anywhere.
Yeah, no, Brett, you could take all 4 of these guys on your own, but we're not going to do it. We're going to be fair.
By the way, panel to panel, thank you for liking We Are Robin.
Yes.
Yeah, that comic book was great. Like, I really want to meet the person that did the colors for that. Like, he's brilliant, or she, who knows.
I bet you they know a lot about the industry too.
Oh yeah, they're industry insiders.
Do you think we could book them for that podcast?
Here's the thing about there's looking at things from the outside and then seeing things from the inside, and they're very different. I mean, obviously, it looks like from the outside, the comics industry looks like this magical world. Everybody knows what the hell they're doing. To be honest, they don't.
Yeah.
Well,
So
A lot of times what's happening is what's happening is people are just throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
What do we call those failures? Clone Saga.
yeah.
Well,
Go ahead, Chris.
no,
Electrical Superman.
how often do I talk about Nintendo and I just get trash talked? I worked for the fucking company for 5 years.
Exactly.
Like, I know how they think. I know what they do. I've been in marketing meetings where they literally throw spaghetti at the wall. Like Manny says, they do that. I mean, I remember when that Dragon's Quest board game thing came out, and they were literally flip-flop 5 times whether they were going to release the game. We're going to release it. No, we're not. Yes, we are. No, we're not. Like, ridiculous. These are guys getting paid tons of money, more money than some people will ever see, to figure out whether a game is going to release or not. Like, that's what you're dealing with. And then when I say shit, they just get on Twitter like, "Oh, you're just hating." It's like, no, I work there. I know what kind of decisions were made. I know how they think.
Yeah, so we're bringing that knowledge now. Obviously, I'm not taking it away from these guys because they're hardcore, real comic book guys.
Oh yeah,
they read way more comics than we do, and that's just a fact. But at the same time, we are not exactly wrong, and we got a fucking industry expert here. And dude, I've been reading comics for 25 fucking years. Like, I'm not some newbie. I know what the fuck I'm talking about here. And I also see what's going on in society, and it's pretty clear what Marvel's trying to pull here. Okay, here's the thing. What Marvel's trying to do with their whole diversity thing, it's good. It's the way they're doing it that's the problem. That's my
exactly.
thing.
Nobody has.
Say it for the verses.
I'm gonna say this one thing. Nobody has a problem with the fact that there's diverse characters in it. The problem is the problem, at least I have, is that the fact that they can't have their own identities. They can't be. It can't be. You can't. Why does Falcon have to be Captain America? I understand that's okay. That's the next eventual step. But why can't he be Falcon? Why can't Falcon lead the Avengers? Not Falcon dressed as wearing Captain America's clothes.
Yeah,
you know
so
what I mean? Why is if we're gonna have a female, if we're gonna do the idea of a female having the power of Thor, why does she need to be called Thor? Why can't she be her own character?
Yeah, and to me, like I said, it's pretty obvious what's going on. But to these guys, they see it completely differently, and they try to explain to me, and I just don't get it. And even Brett and I were talking, it's like we're scratching our heads, like, what? That doesn't make any.
None of this, and also, guys, again, none of this stuff is new ideas. You're arguing ideas that are just rehashed from before. It's like, what are we talking about? We're changing a character. The only difference is now that people are a little bit more accepting of that, the fact that they switched the character around. You remember when Punisher was a black man?
Or when Punisher was a woman.
Or when Punisher was a woman.
Or when
they had Girl Thor.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this has been done over and over again. Come on, in the 70s you had a black woman Captain Marvel, right? This has happened over and over again. Batman had his back broken. He passed on the mantle. We have a new edgier Batman. No one liked it. Bruce Wayne can walk again. He's Batman. This happens over and over again.
Just as yes, we can we can praise him for for doing these things and then being a little bit more accepted nowadays. But these things are just old ideas that are just being rehashed and rehashed.
We're gonna bring this on, but the only problem is
Black Panther.
Yeah, your favorite character, Brett.
Yeah.
Back in the day when they used to do this shit, right? It wasn't like in your ham-fisted like it is now. That's the thing, because again, there's this other movement going on in America.
Black Panther isn't ham-fisted.
No, he's not, Brett. We talked about this. He is not ham-fisted.
In an era of civil unrest, in the shadow
again.
Called Black Panthers, a comic book character that fights for black rights named Black Panther is not ham-fisted.
Brett, we're supposed to.
He doesn't fight.
Yeah, he doesn't fight. See, Brett. And see, you're giving them ammo now because you're proving you don't know about Black Panther. Don't do that.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, that was the entire overtone. Come on.
To be honest, the Black Panther is far from that.
Yeah, Black Panther is just a Wakandan king who kicks ass.
Yes, there's a difference between Black Panther. At least Black Panther isn't. They didn't do some bullshit where they all of a sudden switch Black Panther into some other character. Hey, let's make him a Hispanic guy while we're at it.
No. I'm not talking shit. I'm not talking shit at all. What I'm saying is, I'm supporting what you say. Like they play to the audience. But Stan Lee will admit they always try and encapsulate things that are going on in the public eye. They try and keep their comics modern by playing to this. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's not, and that this is just the modern iteration of what we're seeing. I like Black Panther as a character. I ain't talking shit at all. I'm just saying, at the time, the thing that it was born out of, when Black Panther was born, it was kind of a two-dimensional character born out of Marvel wanting to say something, and since then they've flushed him out. It didn't take them long to flush it out, thank God, but they've flushed him out to be a fully fledged character, and this is how most characters are made. Like this is not, none of this is a bad thing, and I'm sorry if it's some kind of weird shameful truth, but it's it's exactly what Manny's saying. It's not fucking rocket science. It's a bunch of people who are just people too, sitting around and being like, oh, what are people talking about right now? What's important? What's confrontational right now? And then those are the things that they try and sew into the time-honored stories of Cape and Cow, and that's how they make modernized comic books.
Yeah, so it'll be a pretty interesting battle, But the only thing I just wanted to bring that up real quick is it just kind of hit me off. Like, really, we can't talk about comics either. We're hardcore comic book fans too, man. We're going to talk about comics if we want to. That's just Throwdown has always talked about comic books since day one. So, what is this? Somebody jumped into the show real quick.
Well.
Oh man, I don't know if we want to.
Yeah, Max muted, by the way, in case you're saying something.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's gonna stay there. You know what?
I haven't said anything yet.
Yeah, he just wanted to be led into the show. So yeah, Mr. Mask Man, I hope you're ready for next week, man.
I hope you're ready for next week.
I'm beyond
brother.
Ready, man.
Hey Charles, at least all of us will be here next week, like some people.
What do you mean? I'm lost.
Yeah, what's going on?
I just watched Pound's panel, and some of you guys won't be there next week.
Oh, one of the guys won't be there, but it was possible he wasn't going to be one of the four. Anyway,
okay, fair enough.
It's all good.
Yeah. You guys better bring the heat, because these guys will. You heard the Brett
shall indeed be brung.
So get ready, people.
So Charles, how you like Me and Robin?
You said how am I liking We Are Robin?
How are you liking We Are Robin?
I am enjoying We Are Robin a great deal, sir.
Very good.
Thank you for your contributions to that book.
Oh, thank you. Even though I only did 3 issues.
Hey, it all counts. You laid the groundwork.
Charles, since you're here, man, say some stuff, because because on your last show you basically had a 10-minute segment talking about it, so we were like, let's have our 10-minute segment, but let's give you the floor real quick. What do you have to say? I
don't want to say too much, because everybody needs to tune in to the Civil War.
Yes. The
debut or the re-debut of the Versus stuff on thecoalition.com between Panel to Panel and the Throwdown show. I think it's going to be it's going to be fun. It's going to be a bit of a clusterfuck, I imagine, just because of the nature of the two groups that are going to be on there.
No, I think it'll be okay. I think we're all pretty reasonable.
We don't have it won't be an other things show. It won't be anything like that.
Charles, you have always been a gentleman, despite when we have disagreed. I don't foresee there being any overheated yelling matches or anything like that. So I'm actually quite looking forward to it. Even though I think we are on polar opposite ends of the spectrum, but I think there's a middle ground to be found somewhere.
True that.
We're all professional podcasters. We're going to be civil, obviously. We may bring a little heat because we got to entertain you guys, obviously, but it's fun, man. So yeah, Charles, Panel to Panel versus Throwdown Civil War, right?
Yes, sir. And I love how you said we're professional podcasters as I'm talking to you through a mask right now.
That is a professional mask, all right?
Hey, it's a legit 300 set replica, so I think that's pretty awesome.
That's fucking awesome. See, real fucking comic head right there. You know,
That's not from the
what are you talking about, Tony? 300 is a movie. It was a fucking comic, right?
Yeah, it was a comic.
Yeah, Charles,
yeah.
we're about to wrap up, but I need to talk to you after the show, actually.
Since we're still live on there, one more question.
Actually, oh, yeah,
Charles, where's your British guy at?
Like, where's my
Every good podcast needs a British guy. Like the Co-op has Gary, Throwdown has me. Where's Panels one?
We'll work on it. Maybe next show Civil War will be so amazing you'll pull a Spider-Man and switch sides.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
No, I think I'll be too busy just pulling a Hulk and playing Dynamite.
Actually, hey, Charles, since you're here, man, plug Panel. What's the show all about for those who may not have seen it? And shame on you haven't seen it, by the way.
Yeah, shame on you. It is just a comics podcast. We actually did a few episodes on a separate channel. And things happened, and people dropped balls and such. We won't get into details, but Panel to Panel moved into the comics lines. And I mean, we're here, we're having fun. It's like the Throwdown. We specifically have two things that then go head to head, and we decide which story arc, which character was better. Simple as that. But yeah, we have a home on the Coalition, and it's very, very awesome.
Yeah, man, I'm glad. And right on Wednesday, Comic Book Day too, where it should be.
Absolutely, every Wednesday.
Love that shit. All right, and the last thing here. Oh yeah, big news. And Carlos, I'm glad you're here for this one. We got the Gamer Tag Radio guys. They're coming to Throwdown in 2 weeks. Danny Pena and Mr. Paris Lilly, man.
That'll be cool.
That's gonna be great.
That'd be awesome. We all love those guys. We're all cool with them. We're friends. I know you guys.
Whoa! What happened there?
Charles just hacked Tony.
Yeah.
So now this is my show.
Yeah. No, but we those guys, we're all cool with them and stuff. They're brothers and stuff. So we're gonna have them on in 2 weeks, and we're gonna interview them. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Can't wait for that. And that is pretty much it, people. So let's wrap this up. Thank you for watching and listening. Make sure to follow the Coalition at thecoalition.com. Subscribe to Throwdown, SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Throwdown Show and our Facebook. Links are available in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco and Chad, joined by Emilio Lopez.
One shall stand and one shall fall in an ultimate battle between the Throwdown and Panel for Panel.
Panel to Panel. Brian Munjoma.
There can be only one.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, it's been fun, people.
Brett Murdock.
Come back with your shield or on it.
And the masked one, Charles Singletary Jr.
I don't have any cool comic references for my last words. I'll just say that the Throwdown is going to end next week, so be sure to tune into the Co-op for the rest of your gaming news.
Well, Charles, I recommend that you read up on the material.
Oh.
I recommend you guys read the material, period.
Oh, shit.
We have the references. You don't. What's up with that?
You got old, out-of-date references, sir.
Wow.
We got them.
Welcome
You
to the
don't.
new
What's
school.
up with that?
I hope you're part of the 4, because I'm going to destroy you.
Unfortunately, I'm not.
Brian should be the moderator. All right, guys.
Talking shit like the whole time.
You're gonna mute my team the entire time. I do not trust.
Oh man. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Later.
Very beautiful.
Peace.
Deuces.
Later, guys.